Welcome and Happy New Year. Good to see you all. Jason, why don't you start us off and tell everyone where we are?
Well, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year,
Happy
guys.
New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year.
God,
I just said Happy New Year.
We're happy and it's a new year.
You're so excited about this listing, you just want to jump right into
Sorry,
it.
guys.
Which, by the way, it's a bad listing.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
God is good. Family's good. Is everyone all right?
Did everyone have a great holiday?
Great. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Well, Jason, where are we?
All right, we are at 141 Alta Tierra Court here in Los Gatos, which is actually the Alta Vista neighborhood.
That's right.
Fun fact.
Yep.
A little bit about the house. 5 beds, 6 bath, almost 7,000 square feet on about 1.5 acres. And the cool thing about this house is with that much space, I like that it kind of lives as a one-story. So most of the bedrooms and the living areas is all up here, and then there's some kind of basement game rooms that are downstairs. So super functional, especially someone that has a big family. And then obviously the backyard we're sitting at, tons of space. It's flat, and the views.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
People always ask, why is it so expensive to live where we live? And you kind of sit here, you look around, and you say, oh, wow.
We're in January, right?
That's right.
Look at this.
January, Northern California living at its finest.
You know, it's funny. You said that it's 7,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
That house has the potential to be almost a 10,000 square foot house.
Easily.
With all the different areas and everything down below. So incredible storage and everything else you have on it. And the neighborhood, one of the premier neighborhoods in Los Gatos. I mean, there's very rare neighborhoods that really flow like an estate style neighborhood, where you got minimum 1 acre lots. I mean, it's really incredible. And the way that this house is situated, one of the challenges a lot of these properties have, like on the other side of the neighborhood, you're at the front of all the storms coming in and everything, and you got great views over the city and everything, but you're also hearing the ambulances and all that stuff that come around there. I mean, this is like God's country. This is absolutely gorgeous.
I think my favorite part is on this hill, most of the backyards are sectionalized.
Yeah.
You have one section,
Yeah.
you have steps, you have another section.
Right.
Over here, it's super flat, and the views are incredible.
Yeah, and to Jason's point, where it also allows you to have that top floor, which is almost like single level living.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean, so it's a perfect house for like multi-generational living and everything. You got a wing for the kids, a wing for the grandparents, and a wing for the parents. I mean, and great separation all the way through.
Yeah, and we actually met the sellers from Madera, which is your family house.
That's correct. I've known this neighborhood for 40 years. In fact, my in-laws on 112 Madera that we just recently sold, they were one of the first properties up here when they built. And again, just a great, rare neighborhood, and the opportunity to get a house like this. And I think you guys got it priced absolutely incredibly well. You've done a great job with getting this thing prepped, and the house is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, we're super excited. So open
There you
houses
go.
will be this weekend. Hopefully the next time we're on the podcast, we have multiple offers, and we're giving you a great update. So,
And if
anything
you're
to
a
add?
neighbor,
Oh, if you're a neighbor,
listening,
yes.
Thursday, 5 to 7, we're going to have a little champagne.
There you go.
If you're Italian, it's called antipasta. If you're non-Italian, it's charcuterie.
There you go.
Please come by. We'd love to meet you guys and have a little snack.
But by the time they're seeing this,
Yeah, we need this podcast to go out tomorrow night.
Oh, sorry. Get the phone out.
Well, I'll tell you though, what I love about all the listings that we've been doing. I know we keep talking about doing these more on location type of podcasts. I just love this stuff. It's awesome. I mean, it's a great way to promote our clients' listening stuff, but it's also great for us to get out of the studio, so to speak, and get some fresh air.
Yeah.
And you can't complain about an environment like this.
Life's rough, guys.
Yeah, right.
that's right. So we're in January. Market's back.
Yeah.
Ben, where are we at in the market?
What's
you
the
have a new
stats?
listing today. Went on yesterday. And
I think we have like 6 new listings going on this week. Right?
yeah, but you've been busy. 7-bedroom house, kind of by prospect, right?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You know, you look at this house here with this size and the price point, and then you can find a bigger house like mine, which is 7, and it's about a quarter of the price.
I was gonna say, yeah, and it's I think it's less than half the size overall too, right?
It has the same bedrooms.
I think, overall in the market, like where we're at, I think we said this too. I know you weren't on the podcast 2 weeks ago, but we said this a couple weeks ago that our team is going to start ramping up first week of January when it comes to listings. And we saw that this week. Single family home in Los Gatos, single family home in West San Jose. We have
Mobile home just closed.
Yeah, mobile home is closed.
We just put up in Ben Lomond. They're coming.
And I think we're seeing that overall in the market is starting to pick up. I know this last week, I think we saw about 20 to 30 homes kind of hit the market so far, townhomes and single-family homes. I don't know if we made a drastic jump from the 400 I think we were at before the new year. So we're still working in there. Obviously, I think we all said that it was going to pop off in January. February is going to be, I think, the standard time.
I think the trend's going to be the same as it is every year, where we start off with very low inventory January. February, things starts picking up. People start throwing their homes on the market March, April. It's going to continue with that appreciation slide, and then it'll start balancing out in June. But we're never, I think, to your point, we were at like 480.
Yeah.
I think now we're at 520.
So something that Jeet and I were
Single
talking
family.
about at lunch was the real estate market was actually outperformed by the stock market this year.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of buyers that waited just jump right in. But Jeet brought up something that was pretty interesting. Jeet.
So, the real estate market went up by, I would say, about 15 to 17%, and stock market went up about 26%. But when you actually look at how people execute real estate, they put 20% down. So with 300,000, they're controlling a $1.5 million asset.
Right.
So when you add that 15%, you're making over 200,000,
Yeah.
versus that 300,000 in the stock market, you would have only made
Well,
75.
I think you're bringing up a great point. When you talk about it's up 16%, you're talking about overall appreciation of the full value of the property.
Correct.
Value.
What people don't look at is, like you said, well, you're only putting 20% down.
Exactly.
Put 20% down, that's 100% appreciation,
100%.
right? On the money, because it's money you invest just like the stock market. You're not buying $1 million worth of stock for $200,000,
Absolutely.
right?
So you're making 225,000 on a 300,000 investment,
Yeah.
on a 1.5 million.
Well, and also let's not forget the fact that when we're out of, these are primary residence homes, right? These aren't necessarily investment properties. So the fact that you're still making, even if somebody wanted to say, yeah, that's on the overall value of the property, the reality of it is primary residences were never meant to be investments. And the fact that now they can be, where in our area, it's about 9% a year that you're going to gain over 40, 50 years. They're incredible place to live and invest.
And I think that's what a lot of people have to take into consideration when they decide between putting their money in the stock market or putting their money in a home, especially in the Silicon Valley, is that if you wait to put your money in a home, that home is going to be more expensive in the future. It's not, we don't, like you said, we're on a 9% appreciation per year. If you wait a year with that money in the stock market, this home, you're going to need an extra amount of down payment to even jump back in.
Well, but again, in my world, you're talking two different things. You're talking about that roof over my head that I want the best looking house, and if it appreciates, great. But then, where do I want to put my investment money? And great segue into our wealth building seminars that we're going to be relaunching this year, and incredible. We got some
Said that
properties
for 2 years.
I know, right?
This year it's coming.
No, but this year it's coming. This year it's coming. We got our first closing coming in actually tomorrow.
Sweet.
And
What did you buy?
It's a child care facility out in Missouri that's kicking off about an 11% cash on cash return on the value of the property. So if we look at the actual cash we put in, it's probably going to be more like a 20 to 22% return on it. So,
Fantastic.
but to our point there, when you want to invest, or you invest in the stock market, which does pretty well over a long-term time, SP 500 does great, right? Or, do you want some great solid cash flow for 15 years too? And that's what I love about our team, right? There's something for everybody, from an incredible estate property to mobile homes in Aptos, and where's the other mobile home we have? Fremont.
Which we just got an all-cash offer on yesterday.
There you go. To
Stay tuned
incredible
for further.
Yeah, to incredible homes in Cupertino, Fremont, Milpitas, everywhere.
So the point of me saying that is people's number one question when I see them, haven't seen them for a while, we're at a party or something like that, is who's buying these houses? And it's Google, it's Facebook, it's NVIDIA. And all of those tech stocks went well beyond
Absolutely.
25%, right? So people aren't scared to jump in. I really think this year is going to be year of the millennial. There's a lot of people between the ages of 30 and 40 with pent-up money that are ready to get their family home, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they've been renting for a while. As we know, mortgages are a lot more expensive than rentals at this point with interest rates. So Ben bought a house. Jeet's going to buy a house this year.
Yep.
I'm going to be buying a house this year. So there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what this year brings.
Yeah, I don't get hung up on where the mortgage rates are,
Correct.
right? Just don't. It's a temporary
Just is what it
scenario.
is.
It is what it is, and it's a temporary scenario, and obviously our house values kind of potentially follow that, but we're not really. I think we're more resistant from mortgage rate flow and stuff because there's there's money in this valley, right? And by the way, what are rates running right now?
Six-ish. Between 6 and 7, depending.
Come on, man. If you go look over 40, 50 years, the average is 8%. So we're still low. It's just that we got spoiled during COVID, right?
So just to put into perspective of how crazy the real estate market is in January, because sometimes sellers are reluctant to list their houses, there was a property that came on in Almaden on a Friday. They had an open house between 12 and 4 p.m. Those are the only showing times. Then they went Saturday, Sunday, no showings, nothing allowed. Offers were due Monday. They priced it at 1.9. It went to 2.3 with 30 offers.
And this is over the holidays.
30 offers?
30 offers, and most of the people didn't have
that same luck.
Most of the people didn't even have a chance to
All right,
see it.
so
Yeah,
let's
like
talk about
that in the
dive a little
world.
deeper on that. Where was that property located at?
Are you familiar with like Lake Almaden?
Yeah, okay. Oh,
Just
yeah.
off of Camden. It's the first
Right.
one on the left below Boulder Ridge.
Okay.
So 3,400 foot house priced at 1.9, definitely priced lower.
Wow.
But what it says is that people are confident enough in the real estate market that if they see a decent value, they're willing to jump full head.
100%.
Another house
but it's-
listed off market in
Okay.
Cambrian, pretty close to Highway 85,
Right.
listed at 1.2, total fixer.
Talking about
The one with the wait list.
yeah. What is?
There's a wait list. There's all these emails going out. They listed the property unbelievably low. We don't need to say the address so that we could talk about it.
That's fair enough.
Perfect.
90 people interested in the property.
Wow.
She answered my phone call though.
Answered the phone call, but it's something.
She knows who you are, man. You're the number one team in the whole Bay Area.
It's
Come
just
on.
so crazy to me that there's that much pent up people looking for a single family home.
Well, again, we go back to the numbers, right? You've got 2 million people in this county with 700,000 units or whatever it is. I mean, and we only have 400, 500 homes on the market. I mean, there you go. That's why.
From December.
And the one Aaron's talking about,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that wasn't even on market.
that wasn't even
yet.
on the market.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
She needed
So-
a wait list form to filter
crazy.
everyone's. Wild.
So we talked a lot about
Nuts.
things that were supposed to change 2024. The big attention headline was no more buyer's agent commission.
Old news.
Yeah, so it's old news. We've worked through it. What we're seeing is sellers are still paying buyer's agents.
Yeah.
There's an exclusive agreement now with buyer's agents if you are a buyer now. So that's kind of cool. Everything's working.
You know, the only thing I really want to make sure our sellers understand is what's going to happen is the buyers will always bake that commission into their offer, one way or the other. It might be 1%, 3%, whatever it is, but you're going to have to look at what that net is. Right? Don't get so caught up in the commission as much, right? Let us take care of that, explain it to you, but understand that when we take these listings at 2.5 to 3.5%, there's still going to be that other commission on the other side for the buyers. It's just going to be baked in that offer. And don't get hung up on if you got to pay 6%, because the reality is in most of those cases, if the agent's coming in wanting 3%, they're going to increase their offer to cover it. And it's just that as professionals, we now have to be a little bit more strategic of ensuring on how we get paid, because we deserve that, and being transparent of how that's showing in the other side as well. But there could be a scenario where, okay, you might only worry that you're paying 4% commission, but the 6% commission deal coming in might pay you a higher net. So don't get caught up on the percentages of what you're paying for the commission. Get caught up on netting the highest amount of money on your property with the best agents that you can hire and bring to the table.
I think that's a great point. I ran into a situation the other day where one of my buddies, we're not going to say names or addresses and stuff. One of my buddies, an agent in the area, wanted to purchase a home out here in the Cambrian area. The seller was so stuck on wanting just the highest sale in the neighborhood, she didn't want to relinquish the commission for the buyer, who was the agent.
Right.
Give the commission back in.
Right.
She wanted the highest amount, so she took her high point and then gave him all the commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's our job to educate a little bit more, right? I mean, so.
Yeah, cool. So there's a couple new things that have changed in January. The biggest thing that I've dealt with, especially today, is this new balcony law, which is SB 326.
You've had a few of those come across.
This is
your
my
desk.
fourth one now. And I've been on the listing side every time for it. But if you own a condo, it's really important that you get ahead of this, because it can really hurt the value of you potentially selling if you're not able to get a loan on this condo complex. So we're going to continue to work through it. But if you are a condo owner, or if you're interested in purchasing a condo, look up the law SB 326. It recently passed, and it stemmed in California from 2015 or 19, when there was a
19, the condo that crashed down in Florida.
no, it's
Right.
stemmed earlier from that. I actually found out today, 2015, and I want to say Alameda or Berkeley,
Okay.
but I'll fact check myself.
I think
Well,
it's Berkeley.
Yeah, and the key, which we constantly learn stuff every day, even in our business, right? You've been in the business 30 years and you still learn things. And where my impression of what that code states is that you have to have an inspection done on these balconies, if you're a multi-res or if you're a condominium complex or so forth, right? So that's what it states. But the challenge with it is, like in your case, when you deal with an HOA, then you have lenders that are looking at it, right? And there's lenders that are saying, okay, you did your inspections, but now you have some deficiencies. You have some of these balconies. Even if it doesn't impact your unit, it impacts the unit on the other side of the complex 100 units away.
That's what's interesting about whether or
It
not
doesn't even affect us.
Yeah, even if you're a seller and your balcony is good, it could be your neighbor 5 doors down who's got a messed
And the
up
reason why
balcony.
is because usually condo, it's co-op ownership or it's co-op money, which impacts your reserves, right? And so it's not just ensuring you get the inspection done, it's how are the lenders going to look at that? And you and I talked about this, where I think the lenders there's going to be lenders that are going to come around to this a little bit, understanding a little bit more. I think FHA, there were some other ones that you had found.
Chase Bank, HSBC Bank,
Yeah,
they're out there.
And I think,
for townhomes.
yeah, same thing.
If you have a balcony.
Yeah, if you have a
Again,
balcony.
like for the people viewers who don't know, between townhome and condo, it just comes down to who owns the property, whether it's a condominium
Right.
ownership or a partnership.
Right. But even part of that, again, it's shared in reserves, right?
So even townhome.
Yeah, even townhomes. If the townhome across the way needs to do it and yours don't, that money's going to come out of that joint fund, right? So I think, again, it shows why you need a team and who you work with matters, because the fact that if you get a newer agent who doesn't understand and do their homework to be able to show a buyer, hey, these are the lenders that will approve this project, you're going to run into a scenario where you're going to lock it up to the first buyer coming in, their lender's not going to be able to finance it, and now you're going to have to resell the property.
Absolutely.
So go ahead.
I love how there's a lot more information and clarity on this, at least now than before.
Yeah.
I ran into this situation in 2022, and we got to know 2 days, or actually just the day before closing.
Right.
The lender goes like, hey, the client is approved, but the HOA is not. And he's like, so we can't fund the loan.
Right.
And so we had to cancel on the day of close.
Yeah.
Then all the contingencies are out the window. Your money is at risk. And we backed
And
out.
now you've learned from it, so that'll never happen again.
Exactly. But we backed out and we got our deposit back on due disclosure.
I think what's really important is, of course, I'm not an attorney, but the general way that real estate works here, at least in the Bay Area, is that if new information was provided, like it was to Jeet, he has an automatic right to be able to back out. So even though it was the closing day, he got his money back for his client. No harm, no foul, new information.
Well,
just
and that's a really key thing too. Again, who you work with matters. To explain to your seller, even if we get a non-contingent offer coming in, know that if there's any new material facts that are brought up, such as, hey, the lender won't do it because of this issue that we just discovered, the buyer's gonna be able to get out of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's why do your homework up front.
You guys want to play a game?
Sure. Let's play the
Sounds
game.
like a line from a
We're gonna
scary
start
movie.
with you.
Play a game.
We're gonna start with you, and we're
Right.
gonna go one word for the real estate market in 2025. Ready, go.
Strong.
Amazing.
Way hot.
Prosper.
And I'm going terrific.
Oh, those are
So
all
I
good.
think we're all
positive.
very bullish on the 2025 real
100%.
estate market. I think there's going to be some unbelievable opportunities. We're seeing about 10 to 12% returns for flips, which is down a little
Yeah.
bit, and that's mostly
Well, it's
because there's so many
competition.
end users, right?
Right.
So there's money to be made. I think interest rates should start to go down. It is a new president coming in.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it still amazes me, guys, that, for 40 years, 50 years, or as long as we kept records, our market will always cycle 5 to 7 years. That was a golden time period, right? 7 years of uptime, 7 years of downtime, and we are on, 2012, and we're on 12 years of this ride.
Don't jinx it, Mark. Come on.
Well, no,
ride.
I'm not, because I'm saying I
Ben
remember
just bought a
times
house.
before, and everybody would say, "Oh, hey, we got that quantum leap going on right now that we're never stepping back, like Singapore and some of these other areas." I mean, listen, I think you should always be cautious about a shift, but listen, this is a great place to live and invest, and long term, it's always gold.
So we do have a question from several viewers who saw a podcast 2 podcasts ago. You said not to invest in Austin or Texas in general, but they were confused as to why, because you already own houses there. Can you clarify that?
Well, markets shift, markets change, right? I always look at every deal as a standalone deal, right? However, when we're doing our wealth building seminars and we're looking for emerging markets, new markets, right, that can kind of mirror what we've seen in Silicon Valley or what we saw past tense in Austin, those are the areas that we look at for solid investments, right? We're not talking about where you're buying a
So
primary
just to
home.
confirm what you're saying, you liked the purchase price that you got it at. You're able to get the cash flow that you like, and you're going to just hold on to it?
Cash flow in Austin, Texas sucks because Texas does not have Proposition 13 to where your property value as it goes up gets reassessed and your property taxes get reassessed.
Okay.
So cash flow will wipe out. But to your point, we got in that market when it was emerging. So examples, the homes that we bought around the Apple campus, we were paying $285 to $325. Those houses went up to $7. Now they've retreated to $5. Am I a buyer at $500,000? Probably not.
So what are you going to do with your properties?
Well, it just means that instead of having a 3-year run that we expected, Ben's involved in one of these, it might be a 5 or 7 year run. Now, Austin's coming back.
So if it goes back to
Just hang on Mark's coattails and let it ride. It doesn't matter.
Hey, you're a lot younger than I am. It's okay.
So you're out. Are you out again at 700? Like you're selling, or like what's your play?
Well, with some of the properties, we might be out at 500 or 600.
Okay.
Right? I mean,
So you take the appreciation and reinvest it.
and reinvest it
something
somewhere
like
else if that opportunity arises. I mean, with any investment, you have to have a better ROI to be able to get rid of that investment, right? I mean, if something was to come up and we could take a 500,000, 500 doesn't really buy you that much in the investment world, right? So I think at this point you kind of just ride it out, or if there are, let's say, if we look at cap rates, like we talk about that child care facility, right? That's kicking off a 7% cap that winds up being 11 or 12. Well, maybe you say, hey, you know what? Austin's kind of run its course. Let's take 5 of those houses we bought. Let's do a 1031 into one of these child care or DaVita or medical buildings or something, and let's have that thing kick off 12% cash.
Okay.
Right?
So you always recommend to any investor 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan?
3 to 5 year. Well, depends on what your overall goals are for emerging
You're
market.
telling your kid or
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
And then we'll come up with a new plan.
For residential, 3 to 5 years. These other triple net investments you want as long as you can.
Okay.
I mean, the one that we got has a 15-year lease on it, and maybe 7 years into it, you take a look at it. If you got the appreciation, but keep in mind those type of triple net investments, it's not necessarily appreciation, it's cash flow. That's what you're looking at.
Guys, got anything to add?
Not to really that, but I have a little thought here. I want to get Jason's opinion on here. I have some friends who have brought up jumping into the real estate market, and they've thrown out the word wholesale in there because there's these companies, We Buy Homes Quick.
John Buys Homes.
Yeah, home buying experts.
Which is probably all the same company, right?
It's all the same. Well, at least they do all the
The
same.
concept is also the same.
Yeah. So from someone who has now been in the real estate market selling homes for a year, like how does that differentiate, or like what did you do as a wholesaler to where you jumped out of it and now have jumped into the real estate market and have found going from working with a company to putting parties together, just being, what is the difference? How does this?
So I guess to answer that, let's kind of define like wholesaling, right? It's essentially the exit strategy. So it's a little different to kind of wrap your head around in our market because we're so used to non-contingent offers. We go in, we see a good off-market property, just like he was talking about. There's 100 people, there's a wait list, or you're an end user, you're going to go in non-contingent. I think different markets, you're going to, and we also do inspections up front is also the difference. So you know what you're getting into. Other parts of the country, you're not going to usually get inspections up front, so you're going to go and, hey, contingent on a home inspection. So these bigger companies, these We Buy Houses, Ben's WeBuyHouses.com or whatever.
Steve's son.
Steve's son buys houses.
Son of Steve.
Son of Steve buys homes.
Yeah, they'll do their own flips and stuff too. And so, it's a marketing channel. It's a way, they'll, hey, I'll look at your house, but they're not going to waste their time walking a property unless it's under contract, just because of the volume they get and stuff like that. So, yeah, cool. We'd love to buy your house. I'm going to put it under contract. I'm going to, have a week-long inspection period or something, and I'll go see. So say they have 5 of those. We'll walk them all. Cool. That's a flip. That's a flip. Don't want, that's got a foundation. No, thank you. That's got this. That's got that. So 3 no's and 2 yeses. So as opposed to flipping 2, canceling 3. Hey, I know Aaron. Aaron doesn't care about a foundation. I know Jeet. He doesn't care about this. We'll essentially wholesale them to Aaron, wholesale them to Jeet, and you make a small fee on all of them. So I'll make my flip money on these 2, and I'll make a small wholesale fee on these other 3.
And who else is involved in this process? How many other people are involved in that process?
There can be up to a lot. I've been...
We were the third on one together.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to get. I know Jason's got a couple where he's broken it down to me, and there was like 6 people involved in it.
Yeah, so the analogy is it's like playing hockey with houses.
Yeah.
So, and the house is the puck. And so essentially while it's in contract, while it's locked up, and as long as the contract's assignable, I've been on one where I was one of 6 in a row, and then Aaron and I were on one where we were one of 3.
And just to explain with less words, the seller is in contract with Tony Tony has it in contract for $1 million, but Tony just sold it to Jason for $1.1 million, and Jason just sold it to Ben for 1.2. There's that $100,000 gap. You're the one that's going to close it. So he made 100, Tony did. Jason made 100, and then you bought it for 1.2, and the seller got $1 million.
So here's where my challenge with this whole thing, right?
That's legal.
When you look at these commercials, I know, right? It's legal, right?
Wasn't my idea.
When you look at these commercials and everything, in my opinion, they prey on the desperate. They prey on the individuals who feel that I'm going through a life event, the house is challenging, I don't want to deal with real estate agents, I don't want to deal with the whole process of selling everything, but they have to understand they're leaving quite a bit of money on the table for it to go through that scenario that you just did, right? So I would advise anybody that, listen, if you are caught in those scenarios, like we used to deal with this in the foreclosure world, people will just stick their head in the sand like an ostrich syndrome, right? Just stick their head in the sand, it's never gonna happen to me, never gonna happen to me, all of a sudden they lose the property, somebody's knocking on their door, hey, we got to kick you out. And they don't realize the equity they just stepped away from. And it's so much better to just rip that Band-Aid off, call one of our agents on our team to really be able to walk you through that so you're not leaving so much money on the table, because we can make those processes easy for you rather than dealing with a John's Buy Homes or anything else that's going to tell you, hey, we'll make it easy on you. Well, they're going to make it easy on you, but they're going to probably buy it 10 to 20% below market, right?
I mean, what was crazy is that one that there was 3 on with you and I, it was in Montessorino.
Yeah.
We had it at let's call it 185.
Yeah.
The original seller sold it for 1.6. By the time we got it, so many people have touched it. Somebody skipped all of us and went directly back to the seller and offered him 1.9.
Yeah, so good for the seller on that
Yeah,
one, right? But if it wasn't for that situation, that seller would have lost $400,000.
Yeah.
And if you're in a desperate situation like that, what could have that seller, which they did, the seller
They
actually
just don't know what they don't know.
That's the problem. That's the problem, right? That's why these podcasts and everything else, I mean, I see what we do is almost as much of a public service than it is promotion of ourselves and what we do.
I don't say who you work with matters as a gimmick or anything like
Absolutely
that.
not.
It's totally true. And it's actually really sad to see how many quote unquote successful agents kind of the bed.
Well, yeah, I mean, how many times, guys, have we, there's a little self-promotion, but I'll give it to us, right? Because we kick. How many times have we taken on some challenging properties? And I know damn well our team has netted more money for that seller than anybody else could have done.
I think so.
Because of the uniqueness that we bring to our marketing, the money we put into our marketing, who we know, the network that we create. I mean, sellers, we earn our commission, and the sellers do benefit from what we do.
Kind of back to the condo townhouse thing. Jeet has a story, but Aaron and I recently dealt with that twice last year, and kind of was getting along through the process, and we both ended up saving the deal.
Yeah.
One was a relationship with the lender, and then another one for me was we had a cash offer that I was slowly kept the relationship. Hey, please don't go anywhere. And then ultimately we had to pivot, and but I held on and.
So quickly, just to jump back to my initial question.
Sorry.
There's a few people.
What was your question?
There's a few people who are waiting for this answer.
went
right
tangent.
here, It was how Jason went from wholesaling to real estate. And I guess the main question is, do you find it to be more of a difference, or you're more impactful when you build these relationships with your buyers? And you
absolutely.
Truly,
So
He
you're
also
asking
did wholesaling in Georgia and Tennessee.
that's what
Here it's another world, dude.
So is your question, how is his relationship with the transaction and the client compared
just
when you're wholesaling compared
between a wholesaler and being a real estate
I would assume it's much more intimate when you're doing this thing, right?
1,000%. Yeah. Wholesaling, it was so black and white, and
the numbers game, that's it.
Yeah, it was just numbers game. You're only dealing with investors, period. So it's like, can I make money? Yes, no, on to the next. This one's like truly just like what he's talking about. It's a service. It is, hey, I have this seller. Like when we meet, we don't jump into like numbers, commission, whatever. It's just like, what's your plan? I mean, Aaron and I will go to some of these, and it's just like, we'll offer, can you rent the house? Like, does that make more sense to you? So just kind of like Mark said, it's more of a service thing, and helping people kind of get through these, one of the biggest sales, or a lot of times one of the biggest assets they have. Getting that moved on to the next chapter, and
I don't think you can go only into wholesaling and be a real estate agent in the Bay Area. Like, you have to do one or the other because it's so hard to find properties.
Well, plus you're sending mixed messages to your client, right? It's like when I step into that living room, am I representing myself as a wholesaler, or am I representing you to get you the most money I can?
Like,
and if I'm trying to do both, that sells me like, okay, what the hell's going on? What hat are you wearing today, man?
Yeah,
are you really looking for my best interest or yours?
Jason was able to get properties on market out there right? And there's like 10 times the amount of property.
Because they're sitting out there.
and,
They're
and
not
it's a
selling
$2,000 to
as quickly.
$5,000 like deal.
Right.
Like that's how much you're making.
Yeah.
It's not like we're walking in to sellers' houses and we're asking for sometimes $100,000 when we meet them,
Right.
right? So I mean, it's
Yeah,
totally
different-
different.
Yeah, but let's not get caught up on that because a lot of times we'll make them a hell of a lot more than that $100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it's also more rewarding. I don't know if you agree, to actually
100%.
be representing the final parties who are actually,
Yeah.
doing these transactions.
Yeah, and it's cool seeing
giving
from beginning
giving
to
my
end.
clients like a first-time home buyer keys, and having their kid unlock the door and
Yeah.
walk in and capture their first steps into the house, and then you go and visit them again and see
Yeah,
how they've
right?
made it a home. I think
It's a warm and fuzzy.
that's
I was gonna
cool.
say, how many times have you become the agent and then enjoyed that home with them just
Yeah.
as much as they have?
Right.
Like, that's the
Right.
best part.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 it feels like I bought a house.
Yeah, right? Totally.
Well, somebody told me as a I'm just saying moment, they said real estate agents shouldn't be paid on their commission for a sales price. And then I said, I'm just saying, do you tip at a restaurant based on the sales price?
Great. Great response.
Just saying. Thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah.
But we're basically at an hour. I got nothing. You got anything?
I'm all good. I'm all good. I love this house, man.
Love
I want to
this
sit here
house.
forever. Where's our wine? Let's go. Where's our drinks? Let's
141
go.
Alta Tierra. If you have any questions, reach out to Jason or myself. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful property. We hope you have a great year. This is Unlocking Silicon Valley 2025.
See ya.
See ya.